Today's guest is a good friend of ours. His name is Mike Kalika. Mike recently earned his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Fabio Clemente out in NYC. One word I could describe him is a hard worker. This guy grew up in Russia, competing in wrestling, training in wrestling at a really young age. Then he moved to America, found Jiu-Jitsu, and is killing it in the competition scene. He's won the NOgi Worlds a couple times in his weight division and in absolute. He's won the NOgi PanAms. He's won the New York Open, Abu Dhabi Pro Trials. He's won a bunch of things, and now he's in black belt, and he's ready to take on that challenge. He's also sponsored by Illist and Moskava. He's a full-time husband, a full-time father, a full-time worker. The guy works hard, and he still has time to make it happen and train, okay? He's a very inspiring guy, so we hope you guys enjoy this episode. He also has a cool page on Instagram called People of Jiu-Jitsu. It's at people_of_JIU_jitsu, JITSU. Check it out. It's a really cool page. It features, people of Jiu-Jitsu, obviously, and it gives a little bio about them, and it's a cool little story you can learn and be inspired by from these random people that you may or may not know. And Mike started that page, and it's a really cool idea. So check it out, People of Jiu-Jitsu. And if you're ever in NYC and you're looking to train Jiu-Jitsu, head on over to Fabio Clemente, Team Fabio Clemente, and take a class with Mike. Enjoy the show. Mike. What's going on, Mike? How are you?
Hello, guys. How are you?
Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
No problem,
Yes.
man. Mike Kalika, Marcos. Hold on. We got Marcos back on the show, first of all.
All right.
Mike, I don't know if you know, but Marcos hasn't been on the show in damn near a year.
In about a century. It's all good, though.
So it took the great Mike Kalika to bring...
Awesome. I feel privileged.
Mike's my friend. We train together. We sweat together.
That's right. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm good, guys.
Get a little closer to the mic.
All right.
There you go. Or bring the mic closer to you.
I can't put it any closer.
What's going on, man? Tell me about your life. Tell me about... let's get right into it.
Yeah.
When did you start training jiu-jitsu? And, go from there.
Jiu-Jitsu part came about in around 2011. It's probably the story that some of my close friends heard before, but for those that haven't, had a little bump in the road with, health-wise in 2010. And that kind of opened up my eyes on what I want to do with my life. Going back in time, I did train Greco-Roman for 10 years, and there was a gap in time in my 20s where I haven't done much other than just, staying in shape, working out, just, everyday thing. And I kind of looked into Jiu-Jitsu because, UFC was around for years. I was a big fan of that. So there was a school nearby my home, and I just basically called them up, and I showed up that night. And I got a free intro class, a little bit work on pads, a little bit of sprawls, shrimping, everything that has to do with a good warm-up. It was a little bit confusing, but that was it, So I stuck around there for about 5-6 months. It was a NOgi school. And from there, my good friend Rob, who moved to Miami, Rob. Yes, you did. I'll put you on the spot. So he introduced me to my school where I'm training right now. We used to be Alliance back in the days.
Yeah.
And right now we Fabio Clemente, Jiu-Jitsu for the People.
Okay.
So I've been there since that day.
Nice, man. So how many years is that? That's roughly 6 years?
Yeah, roughly
7 years?
6 years, 6.5 maybe.
Nice.
I can't recall exactly the month when I started, but it's probably 6.5.
And what was it like? How old were you then?
I was 31.
So as a 31-year-old grown...
32.
32-year-old grown-ass man.
Yeah.
how was it to go into a martial arts school for the first time? Because a lot of younger people are very apprehensive, very scared. They're not sure, shy, don't know what to expect. You, as a grown man, going, because some people, they don't know. They're going into a martial arts school for a reason, and they're a grown man to feel a little vulnerable entering into a place like that. Did you feel any of that kind of emotion?
I felt emotion going to the first school, the NOgi school that I have found close to my house. I was a little bit nervous because I was not feeling comfortable. So that particular month in the beginning for me was it was exciting, and at the same time it was uncomfortable.
Was it uncomfortable because you weren't wearing a gi?
I didn't know what gi is,
But deep down in your heart, because you were not wearing the gi, you were uncomfortable.
Were you forced to wear Vale Tudo shorts?
I did have a pair of Vale Tudo. I have them for sale, as a matter of fact, if anybody wants to grab them.
No, thank you.
Shoot a box.
He's got the bad boy eyes on the back of him.
Yeah, listen. I got a mouthpiece, bad boy.
Nice.
Yeah, but I'll suggest this to anybody who's any age, especially if you have a family, you have I'll rephrase that, responsibility in life, where you cannot dedicate 6 days a week to jiu-jitsu training. If we're talking about jiu-jitsu specifically, so I'll say that you have to find a very reputable, technical, and just overall good school for yourself. And if we can throw kids in there, if you want your kids to start somewhere, I think it's just as important to find a school like that for yourself, being an adult, or for your kids.
Okay. Now, what makes you consider the reputation of a school, or what makes a school reputable?
Right.
Are you talking about the accolades of the instructor, or are you talking about the actual reputation of the school through word of mouth and Google reviews?
Well, word of mouth obviously works. Google reviews is not always correct, as you know, because you have one bad experience and you'll write a very bad blog.
Yeah, and then you regret it.
But
you mean the credit of the school, not necessarily the instructor's accolades is not necessarily what you're thinking of.
Yeah, well, I would definitely come in and take a look for myself, give it a try. If you bring in your kids, stay there for a few weeks, see how much they like it. The kid has to fall in love with it, not you. If it's for yourself, I would definitely, within tri-state area, or any area for that matter of fact, we have so many options nowadays. Do some reviews, speak to your friends who train somewhere, get a feeling of what they're experiencing, and then give it a try. You have to love it yourself. You have to feel comfortable where you're training. But as far as technicality part of it, as you're starting to grow, you have to realize whether or not your teachers are correcting you. It's hard to know that you're making a mistake in the beginning. So you possibly might be making a mistake, but you're not getting corrected yet. That comes with time.
Yeah.
Making a mistake and realizing that you are in process of doing it, and somebody's either correcting you or not.
Sure.
So probably back then, at that time, you might realize whether you're in the right school or not, but that might be already too late.
Sure.
Mike, how important is the initial interaction with a school owner or a teacher? You walk into their doors, how they greet you, the energy, the vibe that you're feeling. How important is that to you?
It's important to me. Probably not as important as it is to others, because I might be a little bit, as they call in Brazilian, casca grossa, right? Little thick skin.
Okay.
When it comes to that, I mean, some people are not extremely approachable. They're just there to do their job.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about anybody specific or anything. I had a great relationship from the get-go with my teachers, but just in general, some people might not have as great of a day as somebody else. So you come in and they just not feeling it.
Sure.
But yeah, obviously it's a big plus, because some people might walk out because they're not going to get that good vibe from the get-go.
For sure. Yeah.
So.
Let's redirect it back to you. your life growing up. Where did you grow up? What kind of environment did you grow up in? And did that affect you wanting to train martial arts many years later?
Yeah. So I grew up in Russia. I was born in St. Petersburg, and we moved to South Caucasus. Caucasus had a lot of mountains, a lot of wrestling, judo, more like freestyle schools. So yeah, from young age, I started doing Greco, and I can't say it's a tough environment, because looking at it now, I feel like growing up in certain areas of the world, it's definitely tougher than it is here, because I see how my kids are growing up. So I am creating a little bit of a different environment for them. And at the same time, I create obstacles for them, so they know,
There is struggle.
There is struggle. You have to feel struggle, otherwise there's no growth. There's no potential of improving yourself in any walks of life.
So when you say you create struggle for your kids, you just try to trip them every now and then, or like what are? Give me an example of. I know it might be hard to do.
Yeah, no, I can elaborate on that. Obviously, speaking to them or speaking to people in general is a big plus. Communication is such a major key in explaining what needs to be done, getting the point across. But I speak to my son especially, because as a man, you see what could happen at any moment of time. You have to be strong, not only physically but so much more mentally than anything else, and you have to be ready for anything. So we do a lot of father-son talk when a topic arises, or when I just feel like something needs to be said. I say it right then and there. But going back to my childhood, it was a lot of fun, very careless time, and very it's different environment than growing up here. You go outside 5, 6 in the evening. Your parents tell you to come back at 10. They're not out there, standing next to you, watching your every step.
You're talking about in Russia.
In Russia,
Okay.
where I grew up.
Yeah.
I cannot say that that's how it is now.
Yeah. It was when I grew up. I'm 27 now. When I was growing up, it was still kind of like that. Like my parents would say, yeah, it's the summertime. There's no school. Go outside. Don't stay inside and play video games all day. And I would be able to go leave at 9 a.m., go hang out with my friends, play basketball, do whatever I want, come home, eat something, then go right back out, and then come home at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And my parents were fine with that. They pretty much got it. Like, all right, they're with their friends. Today, though, it's completely different. It's completely different. So I see where you're coming from growing up. I guess it was more universal like that than...
Yeah, it was different times,
Yeah.
A lot of things has changed since then. And, I knew I had a regiment of going to wrestling school 4 times a week at least. I would, walk from... it was a long distance. It wasn't just, walking from place A to place B, and it's like, a 5-minute walk. It was quite a walk.
Okay.
So it was tough. I mean, the environment, the times, the way the practice went on, and, my teachers with one of them I actually reconnected through social media, and I spoke to him. I actually gave him some information about myself. I mean, I haven't seen the man in probably 30 years. I haven't spoken to him, and I just basically sent a couple of my videos, pictures, and a little bit about myself, what I was able to accomplish as a man, as a athlete. I'm not afraid to call myself that. And
you are an athlete. Just look at the guy.
give him huge thanks for a man that he was able to bring out in me. Obviously, besides my dad.
Sure. Now, I want to touch on that. How old were you when you were training martial arts in Russia? When you're doing wrestling and stuff like that as a kid?
I started at 6.
And then until
14 and a half.
Okay, that's a long time. Now, how big of an impact did your coaches have on you at that age? Obviously, it sounds like a big one, but I'd like to hear from you.
It was a tremendous impact, because nobody questioned anything, and probably that's how it should be. Especially as a kid, as a teenager, you should definitely listen to your instructor. That's why it's so important that your instructor is putting you on the right path. You know, because you, as a little man, you grow on all these important things, how to you know, how to deal with struggle, how to deal with, you know, even simple thing like hunger. I would go from school straight there. It's not like there was a bodega in the corner for me to stop by. I had no money back then to, you know, stop, you know, grab something for myself. I would finish training, still not eat, and go home and then have a solid meal. So it was just, you know, those little things, you know, we might laugh at it now. We might say, you know, it's nothing. But, you know, little things like that, you know, ridiculous warm-up, constant repetition of throws and getting tossed on the ground and then getting up and
repeating,
throwing your opponent, you know, suplexing him, and, you know, getting corrected and oftentimes yelled at, you know. But, you know, I even cried sometimes. It was so tough. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with crying.
Yeah. And I asked that because I wanted people to hear that in case you are an instructor today, you teach kids. It shows how important your role is when you hear somebody else's story who experienced the situation that you're in. You can't just be a teacher. You can't just teach kids. That's not how the world works, because these kids are going to be affected by what you say, and they're going to take in what most of the times, whether the kid admits it or not. If they come in, day out, and they're with you for a year, they look up to you in some way or another. Whether they fool around with you or not, or they joke with you, or they're super respectful, they look up to you in a certain way.
Right.
And it's your responsibility as an instructor, as a teacher of kids, to teach them and guide them the right way. And I'm glad that you shared that story, because that shows the proof, right?
Yes. Thanks, Abe.
Now, you came to America when? What year? Shortly after that?
93.
93?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you just started working, or you started going to school? How old were you? when you came?
14 and a half.
Okay, then you didn't start working.
No.
Or you
well,
did.
I did
Did
start
you?
working. Yeah, I did work. I
Mike
had
was
a
in the
at
coal
8.
mines.
butcher by day. Yeah.
They trusted you with a knife?
Yeah.
Mike is a full-blown gangster. That's
Mike,
all I'm gonna say.
your new adult nickname is Mike the Butcher. I'm sorry.
I
but
had some nicknames. But no, I did work. We all worked, you know. Our generation back then, we had to work because, you know,
True.
we had to have pocket, you know, a little
was
pocket
working.
money.
What were you doing, Marcos?
Cutting grass with allergies, watery eyes, boogers coming out of my nose.
Oh, man.
Because you
all
guys
day.
are around the same age.
More or less.
Yeah. Well, you have to work. And I didn't see it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did work. I went to school. Obviously, you know, you know, my friends who were the same age as me, we all went to the same school.
Yeah.
And then some spread out, you know, as far as college and this and that. But yeah.
Did you do any sports in college? Or in high school when you came, were you still
No,
wrestling?
my high school did not even have. We did have a soccer field. Well, it was a football field.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was used for, but it wasn't ours. It was owned by another high school.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
And where were you? You were in New York?
Yeah, I was in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. And you still live there?
Correct.
Nice. Cool, man. And then, so fast forward many years, like 20 years or something, and now you're at Fabio's. Since Marcos is here, how did you guys meet? Just training at Fabio's?
Yeah, we started at Old Academy. Yeah, for those that don't know, we're now literally around the corner at the new location. We were on 3rd Avenue, which is not the first original location, obviously, but that's where I came in. And Fabio, Clemente, and Babs was there along with Lucas. At that time, Lucas was already departing.
Lucas Lepre.
Lucas Lepre, yes. And we had a small school. And getting back to the subject, how I started Jiu-Jitsu, you know, I remember walking into the school. It was on the 2nd floor. It said Jiu-Jitsu
I
on
remember
the
that
door,
sign.
remember?
Stenciled into the wall.
Yeah.
Spray painted
Yeah.
and stenciled.
Beautiful.
You know, fairly small school. yellow wall mats.
If you want to see the school, go to Budo videos. They did the rolled up, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a perfect example of a school in New York.
Right.
Like it was perfect.
Yeah, you open the window, there's a balcony.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear all the commotion on 3rd Avenue, taxis. There was a bar underneath. I remember every time we would train, especially Friday or Saturday, people were going crazy, you know, downstairs, you know, relaxing, doing that thing. Meanwhile, we were out there putting in work.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so, you know, to many of us, it felt so good. We felt like we were making a difference with our own life.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting because you're a floor above people that are acting a fool. Not even acting a fool, just having fun, right?
Yeah.
Being a little wild, you know, letting loose, per se. And you guys are above them, hearing that, and making yourselves better.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And they definitely
dynamic.
heard us too during promotions.
Damn right.
Dancing, screaming. Yeah. So the school was small. We had a few, like 2 windows that would be closed for the most time.
Yeah.
Extremely muggy, extremely hot.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And yeah, so, you know, I walked in on a NOgi class. And I just, you know, broke out my, you know, Venom shorts. I was so proud of it, you know. And
not your singlet. Or it didn't fit you anymore.
It wasn't fitting me, yeah. And so I started training that night. It was extremely difficult because I realized what next level is. You know, it was hard to breathe. It was unmanageable to deal with the young guys who were just, you know, really sticking to this art for quite a few years.
Sure.
And obviously were in a much more different shape than I was. And I stuck through this. And I remember telling myself, this reminds me a lot about my training in Russia. You know, I like that, you know, atmosphere of feeling just kind of small, you know, because the room was fairly small and you feel even smaller because you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's crowded.
It's crowded. You have literally 30 seconds to catch a breath in between rounds. You know, you don't know what's going on. Your head is spinning, especially in the beginning for me. I'm you know,
because when you're new to jiu-jitsu or any sport, you're still playing.
You know, you're going crazy, and you don't know what to do first. You know, figure out what needs to be done or catch your breath. But that honestly was a big selling point for me. You know, it reminded me of something that worked for me back in the days. And I wanted to get back to that atmosphere and learn from that.
That's pretty interesting. Do you think that that's important? Actually, that's the wrong question. I guess what I'm looking for is, do you think that is the formula for every new student when they come to your school, or does that formula not work for everybody?
No,
like the hard work, like a new student comes in and they feel like, man, everybody is working really hard here. This is a tough place to be. And that kind of atmosphere. Or is that not for everybody?
Well, you can make a tough place for yourself, no matter where you are, you know, because really, if you look at the warm-ups, you can really do the warm-up the way your teacher...
With energy.
Yeah. Or you can kind of, you know, skip in between a move.
Yeah.
Or you can barely do it.
Yeah, you could be lazy.
Yeah, you know, which is fine sometimes. You can be lazy sometimes. You have to learn what your body is capable of if you're maturing. I mean, if you getting over an injury. Yeah. So, yeah.
Or you just had work. You just got off of work. You're a little tired. Hey, I want to save my energy for the rolls.
Yeah.
I guess there's a certain situation where it makes
but,
sense.
you know, like I said, you have to... As a person, a man or a woman, you have to know when to push that button to turn it on. And you can push that button no matter where you are, whether you're in LA or whether you're in New York or Miami. You can really put in the work at any place. Whether or not you feel the atmosphere and you want to acclimate to it and make it your home, that's already a different subject.
Sure. But some people don't have that. Some people weren't raised that way. Some people didn't learn that. And that's one of the things that, whether they know it or not, they're looking for that when they join something like a jiu-jitsu school.
Right.
So it's important, again, to find the right instructor that can bring that out of you, right?
Yeah.
That can inspire you. So maybe who in the jiu-jitsu world, out of the school that you trained at Fabio's, were some of the biggest influences on you? Whether it was Fabio himself or not, who are some of the biggest influences you had?
Well, like I said, when I was first coming in, Lucas was on the way out. And I obviously did my homework. I looked at some videos, who's who, but did not know the full potential of who Lucas is.
Yeah.
And I'm mentioning him because he was there.
Yeah.
I will gladly mention everybody else that I have met along the way who I feel like are tremendous athletes and great human beings. And there's so many people that are unnoticed, in this sport, who are up and coming. The young generation are just, phenomenal.
Yeah.
The work ethics that some of these people possess, that's just unheard of. But obviously, with time, hearing Babs and Fabio talk about Lucas from the get-go and what his work ethics are and how driven he is and how much he brings to the table, how technical he was, I only learned the full potential of that once I actually got to know him better, once I have seen him compete and learn much more about that. So I remember telling myself that, I made the right decision by staying here. I made the right decision. And those people who were telling me that information, they were right from the get-go. And that was just a good feeling for me.
Sure.
Obviously, everybody had played a big role on my training, if you really want me to mention some names.
No, you don't have to. I was just thinking maybe more as far as improvement goes.
Yeah.
Have there been people that stand out that really, I guess, plug things into your brain that helped you advance to a next level on a continuous basis?
Yeah, I'll definitely give credit to both of my teachers. But as far as training partners, my friend Eduardo Capeluto played a big role because he was there from the get-go, and us being close to the same age, he knew so much more than obviously I did, and he basically set me on the right path as far as guiding me what needs to be done.
Okay.
We were training because you can give thanks to everybody, but the people that there with you, let's say you're training at noon or you're training in the evening 4 or 5 times a week, and those people are always there for you. They're always pushing you and you pushing them.
Yeah.
So you're obviously learning from them more than you meet,
like if me and you roll every once a month.
Yeah, so we'll learn from that particular role, but as far as continuous growth, that's probably more beneficial if you meet a person
on a continuous basis.
Yeah, Mike White, big props to Mike, good friend of mine. Yeah, Nadir, a great guy. We spent a lot of time on the mat together. Obviously, Zata Toscana, and Vera herself. They're both kids of Fabio. There's so many people. I'm probably, I don't want to repeat what I did at my promotions a few weeks ago where I left out some people.
Yeah.
I mentioned Murat, but I forgot somebody else because they were videotaping. I honestly didn't look at them in the eyes. And so.
Did you get any backlash on Facebook because of it?
Boy, how God are you, man? You left me out, man.
What'd you do? You forgot me. I was there.
I was standing right in front of you, Mike.
No, I never feel awkward being put on the spot because you have to be comfortable in that moment.
Sure.
But that maturity and comfort zone comes with time and experience. So, I just called that person up. I said, hey, man, you were there from day one. I was not seeing you in the crowd. And, when the promotional speech is not really something that I ever prepared for. So, it was just...
Hold on, let me cut you off. If you prepared for your black belt speech, I don't know.
Well, listen,
you know what I'm saying? Like, unless your teacher's like, hey, on the side, congratulations, I'm promoting you to black belt on Friday. If you want to prepare your speech, I know this is how I do things. I let people know ahead of time.
Yeah.
But if you're the type of guy that's like, I got 4 stripes on my brown belt. It's gonna happen any day now. Let me get this speech prepared. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that, I guess.
I hear. That wasn't the case with me. I was not prepared.
It's okay to go through in your mind because you're
I mean, you know,
But,
something's
like-
gonna happen one day, obviously, right?
Of course.
It's from brown to black. It's a gradual process where you I'll use the word rated or looked at, not just on how many classes you have attended, what's your competition rank at, you
Yeah.
know, where you're standing, how many tournaments you've done, because you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah,
You
it's
have
not
to just
necessarily about that.
basically be a professional on and off the mat. You
Mm.
have to be able to speak clearly and bring out the best
Mm.
out of anything. You know, you can take a negative and turn it into something positive.
Sure.
So, you know, I wouldn't know for sure what my professor Fabio and Babs were looking at that particular moment when they were deciding to promote me. But that's up to them. But I'm extremely honored and thankful that it did take place.
Mm.
And since I kind of took this conversation into that route, I'll say that I felt that from day one I will get to this point. You know, I will get there.
Mhm.
I can't say that I had a goal.
But you had the drive.
I had a drive, and I knew that one thing after another would lead me to get in that particular rank.
Mhm.
But as you guys both know, this rank means absolutely nothing in the world of jiu-jitsu, because you're not stopping there. You actually only continue your journey. You
Mm.
know, you have to now, if you're a competitor, you have to meet all this new people in your bracket that possibly have been doing this for quite some time, you
Sure.
know.
And
because-
you're pretty much gonna only compete against those people, right?
yeah.
There's no other.
Yeah, this is it. I mean,
There's no other rank in competition
yeah,
above that. So
yeah, you only
you're stuck with those people.
go up in age, but you go up in age
Oh,
with
you do?
them.
Yeah, true.
But you know, I mean, it's so the growth is just starting. You know, you have to realize where you are, because I felt like when you come in as an adult, not a teenager, to learn jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
or if you come in at a certain level, let's say you come in already as a tough, very technical purple belt to a reputable school,
Mhm.
and your teacher is going to most likely mold you into something that's going to work for your body style, something that you can improve on. It's very hard to change the person once he was already in mid-level to
Yeah.
black belt, in my opinion.
Definitely.
You know, if you're a white belt, yeah, for sure, you know, you're going to be given so many different roads to success, you
Mhm.
know, whether it's you know,
Yeah, it's easy to write from the open book
Yeah.
as opposed to the completed book. Of course,
Yeah.
there's not many pages left. It's hard to fill in. I see what you're saying. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a great accomplishment. And, you know, when Marcos and I saw that you got promoted, we were extremely happy. Normally we are happy for people, but particularly, you know, we know you're a great guy, and we, like, at least for me, I don't know about you, Marcos, but instantly I thought in my head, oh, definitely, well deserved. Like, it wasn't a thing that crossed my mind, like, really? Mike already? Like, it was like, no, perfect. That was the perfect selection to be a black belt.
I agree.
Of course, thank you guys.
Yeah, but I can't relate. I don't have a black belt, so
Nor will you get one
and I'm happy with
like today or tomorrow.
that. Damn.
Cold
Okay.
as ice.
Maybe on Friday.
No.
Prepare your speech.
Okay, I'm writing it. It's already written.
Cool.
My speech is already written, by the way. So,
But now, you know, you have to find the drive to compete. Well, if you're a competitor, you know, at a new level, you meet new obstacles,
mhm.
because that's what happens with every higher belt as you go up in rank.
Mhm.
There's new people, there's new obstacles, there's new work that needs to be done,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, competing at black belt as opposed to brown belt, and brown as opposed to purple, and so on. It's a different way of competing too. It's a different style. It's a different strategy. You might have to change your strategy
Yeah.
somewhat.
You
right?
have to tighten up certain problems. I don't want to call problems. You know, if you play in spider guard, you just need to tighten up that game a little more.
Yeah.
You know, if you're big on passing, you know, doing a smash pass, you have to figure out how to, you know, do it a little bit more correctly. Just little tweaks.
So speak on that specifically for blue belts out there that
Yeah.
they're not at the level where they can comprehend what exactly you're saying. When you say make your spider guard tighter or make your smash passing better, like for black belt division, what exactly do you mean? Like what specifically on a minute level are you talking about? Are you talking about less space when you're doing it? Are you talking about being more mindful during the position?
Well, I'll say train more. You know, a couple of my friends have been asking me lately, you know, I have this issue. How do I fix that? You know, first of all, you need to really see what the person is doing to decide if you're in a position to decide, even if you know what I mean. You know, not everybody who's a black belt ready to decide what's right and what's wrong, because you might be making certain mistakes yourself. Who knows?
True.
And every black belt has a teacher. So, like I said, it's always a continuation of knowledge and learning growth. But if you do spend a lot of time with the person and you notice certain mistakes that they're making, I feel like only then you can correct them and set them on the right path.
Sure.
What needs to be done, other than, in my opinion, coming in and training, just spending time on the mat, is more time with drilling. Sometimes drilling is far more important than coming in, you know, twice a week to an open mat.
Yeah, mindlessly rolling.
Yeah, you know, because you, like you said, you just rolling, you're having fun, which is
great.
Yeah, that's great. We need to do that, but to perfect the technique itself, you know, let's talk about the spider guard. You know, to set up that de la Riva and find that opponent who can be your partner for that particular instance, who's gonna constantly work against your de la Riva, work against your spider, and perfecting his game against your game, which could be in the beginning stage of development. Because, you know, let's be honest again, some people who reach a higher level of the game, 280 pounds, are not going to be playing a lot of spider guard.
Sure.
You know, they're going to be playing top pressure, some judo throws, this and that, and vice versa. You know, people that are in featherweight division are not big on the, you know, big man's game.
Sure.
So it's important to know everything, just like reading the book, reading what's given to you. But the fundamentals, in my opinion, is the most important thing. You know, without fundamentals, you're not going anywhere further.
Boom.
So what's the biggest mistake you see students make as far as the way they train? Is it the lack of drilling, the lack of focused rolling, or the lack of understanding on how to improve? Like,
perhaps it's all of them.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to say what people are doing wrong, because we all have different lifestyle. You know, you might be a 20 years old person who is moving from place A to place B, and right now your drive, your dedication is fully to your work, scrambling for money and making the rent payment and worrying about where you're gonna live tomorrow. So when you do come in to train, your mind is not there. So jiu-jitsu, obviously, or any sport, whether it's MMA or boxing, it's supposed to take your edge off. It's supposed to take your mind somewhere else, make you feel at ease, kind of forget about your problems. It's not always like that, because you have to create that vision for yourself when you're there. If you're there and you're rolling, you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen once you walk out, you probably, that's how you get hurt, because you're not
focused.
You're not flowing. You know, you're a little bit tight and complex, and your body is all
tense.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Good word.
Yeah.
No, but and just not paying attention to what you're doing. Of course, you're gonna stub your toe. Of course, you're gonna bump into a wall. You gotta focus on what you do, and in turn, that takes your mind off of the other crap that's going on in your life that you may or may not be super happy about. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just time on the mat and mental toughness. You know, you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare your mind. You know, you have to tell yourself, because we are our biggest challenge in a way. You know, if you're not finding the drive to come in and train, if you're not dedicating enough time prior to a tournament to drilling, or 3 days prior to a big tournament to maybe resting and stretching enough. This is how mistakes happen. This is how you don't get the result that you desire. So I feel like you can't just jump into something big without really understanding what the consequences might be.
Now, go into a little bit of your training for a competition. What's kind of a regimen that you do as far as everything, whether it be strength and conditioning, whether it be a drilling regimen, the amount of days you train per week leading up to a tournament, a little formula to help people out.
Yeah. At least 4 times a week. I feel like for a major tournament, at least 4 times a week.
Coming into training.
I would definitely stick to a lot of cardio. Rowing is really great for jiu-jitsu or for anything in that matter, because it pushes you with cardio. It makes your whole body work, but you have to row properly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of videos on YouTube how to do it. So running is great. And just when you run, I try to sprint.
Okay.
I try to push myself for 50 feet of really high intense sprint, then quickly slow down, continue jogging.
Yeah.
Running at slow pace, and noticing myself and watching myself basically bring down my heart rate and my breathing, and then within the 2 or 3 minutes again sprint at high intensity,
and then try to recover.
Because that's what it is in jiu-jitsu. You have these moments where you have to take a person down. He's trying to get out of the position that he's in now, but you're not settled yet. You have to get that side control, pin him down, and then when he's trying to take a breath because he's exhausted, that's your time. To take a breather for a second or two.
Nice. Yeah. And what about your drilling? Are you doing a lot of numbers? Are you doing it for time? Do you stop drilling, the week before the tournament? What's going on?
I try to, drill the same way. I mean, I don't really change anything much what I'm doing on the mat. I might be, kind of paying a close attention with my teacher on my game plan. But my game plan is always the same. I'm just working on the things where I'm lacking. And everybody knows what they need to improve on. Everybody knows their strong points. And, if you give yourself, if you go to bed at night and you look at yourself and you know where you're lacking and where you're doing great, that's the right way to go about it. Because if you keep on lying to yourself that you're gonna do phenomenal with the takedown, and you really haven't really done takedowns, you kind of seen them, you think you can do them, but then once you do it, you're not really
laying on your face.
Yeah, you're not executing that drop NOgi the way it should be. So seeing it and really trying it, putting it to use, that's 2 different things.
I like what you keep bringing up, though, mental toughness. Mental toughness is everywhere. Whether you're doing those sprints and you're like, all right, I'm supposed to do 10 rounds, and you end up doing 9 because you're tired and you're by yourself, and you can easily just stop now. But the mental toughness makes you do the 10. And whether that last one helps you out or not, or makes it's about the idea of doing what you have to do no matter what. Because on the mat, when you're competing or you're training, it's not your choice. You can't just quit and stop. I mean, you could, but you're not going to win. You're not going to grow that way. And that mental toughness when you're training kind of transitions everywhere else in life. And I think that's a good point to touch on.
Yeah. Well, because that happens behind closed doors. What you do with yourself, how you prepare, at least the way I do it, is really nobody else needs to know what's being done. You and your mind and your body is obviously going through that experience. The results will show during the competition how well you prepared.
Sure.
I mean, you can be in a great physical shape, and you could be pushing your cardio for days, but you might make a mistake and get caught. That doesn't mean you haven't done the homework. You know, I just feel like for myself, it's always been, you know, if Fabio sits me, you know, down behind machine to row, and he tells me, Mike, do 2K, you know, at high intensity, you know, so he sets up parameters where I have to keep my heart rate about 170 and stop for 20 seconds and bring it down to 110. That's a lot of numbers that are, you know, there's a lot of different levels that I have to hit, not only rest, but I have to make sure that I breathe correctly within those 20-25 seconds, that my heart rate drops to 110. Yeah. So my mind is constantly working, my body is constantly working, and then after 2K, I'm exhausted. But that exhaustion is so helpful, especially if you go now do a class for an hour and a half. Caralho, man. The last thing you want to do is do that class. But, you know, that mental toughness is not going to be built overnight. So you do a few of those classes, and then, you know, next time you row and do a class, you're already going to be at better physical form, obviously, and, you know, you're going to breeze through it much easier.
Sure. And how often are you working on new stuff when you're rolling as opposed to sharpening whatever your game plan is?
Whenever a new move is being shown in class, or something that you haven't really worked on, you know, because there's so many different angles of how certain maneuver could be executed. So, you know, Fabio was showing a move the other day, man, you know, I've seen it so many times, but the angle he came with to show this move, just a touch of a little different dialect, you know, and boom, it's already different.
The nuances can change a little bit, and that can make the difference at the higher levels, I'm sure.
For sure.
I don't know, Marcos. We're kind of running out of time, but I don't know. You want to touch on your last thing? I don't know, sponsors you got? You want to give shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed with
you have your Instagram page, right? What's that all about?
Yeah, so
what is it called? Jiu-Jitsu for the People?
Jiu-Jitsu for the People is the school. It's People of Jiu-Jitsu.
Hold on, that's not the same thing?
That's not the same thing. So so our school is Jiu-Jitsu for the People. Obviously, you know, that's been a non-profit organization that Fabio has created many years ago. We just kind of haven't really put it to use.
Okay.
So,
but it's out there. It's part of the
out
team,
there. Yeah. So it's basically we're Team Fabio Clemente when we're competing, but Jiu-Jitsu for the People is another name for our school, for the group, which people could sign up under, and, you know, basically, you know, go together as a team. That's how really major teams rank up the points, because you know, they have a lot of different affiliates. My page I have created, it's called People of Jiu-Jitsu with the underscore after every word. It's on Instagram.
And between Jiu-Jitsu too, right?
People underscore off underscore Jiu underscore Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it basically, I love photography. I've been shooting a lot of different things, especially Jiu-Jitsu based stuff for years. But I figured that what's better way to talk about us as people, especially those that are in Jiu-Jitsu, is by exposing us through portraits. Because portraits, unlike a regular art of photography in Jiu-Jitsu, is different. You actually have to understand a little bit more about the person you looking at, because it's just his or her face. So I like to take shots predominantly after hard training, where we're all sweaty and greasy, and the file is and the picture is very raw. Yeah. And then I with help of athletes themselves, I put together a bio. Sure. And I let people basically expose themselves, expose their brand, expose the business, talk about themselves, and let others know about them. So it's been a great deal of positivity that I've been able to experience through this, because I see how people appreciate it. Because, you know, there's really to surprise people with something new. It takes a lot of work nowadays, you know. We've seen it all, basically.
No, but I like what you're doing, and it exposes people in a raw way, which rarely gets touched on these days, right?
Yeah.
You being a little vulnerable. So it allows that person to be a little bit more vulnerable, your subject. But it also gives other people a chance to really see others and see them in their true light, like because you're reading their bio. And, you know, there might be something that's swirling around in your head that's bothering you. And then you read someone's bio on your page, and maybe maybe you touch on it for some reason.
Well, I always tell people to write as personable stuff as they can, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, because, you know, really, you know, you can get a lot of background on athletes in jiu-jitsu nowadays through social media. But, you know, when people, you know, put something very personal there, or, you know, something that we haven't, you know, known about them, so that's a big plus.
It's extra special. So are you writing it with them?
You know, so
they're sending you a draft.
They send me a draft. I edited a lot of things I have to tweak.
Sure.
But there's certain standard which I'm trying to keep, whether it's the way the final work comes out.
Yeah, like the flow of the way the
flow.
Is,
yeah.
Interesting. You know, it's really cool, and I look forward whenever I see somebody's face smack dab in the middle of my phone.
It's a very beautiful concept too, for sure.
Yeah, and it's a little story. It's a little movie every time you're on Instagram. You read their bio, spend a little time, and again, sometimes it's inspiring. Sometimes it's like, oh shit, I didn't know that about that person. Sometimes it's, I don't know that person. It's just another thing. Especially, I know this is not the reason why I did it, but it's a good reason. There's so much bullshit on social media. It's easy to get lost in your phone and just zombie out on Facebook and Instagram.
Definitely stick to positives. That's my suggestion to anybody in life, whether you do jiu-jitsu or whether you live in your life. If you block out the negatives, you know, it makes a much clearer picture without any
finished thought, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's all right. It happens to all of us.
Filters.
There we go. Okay.
Bam.
He didn't drink any Chimera coffee. If you want Chimera coffee, go to chimeracoffee.com. Type in the coupon code Show the Art. See what I just did there? I plugged the sponsor.
Genius.
That's why he didn't think very quickly. And then you're wearing a pretty cool shirt, Illest. They're a brand, right?
Yeah. So
So there you have two sponsors. For people that are looking for sponsors, how did you get these? And how do you maintain sponsors? It's like, how do you get good grades, and how do you maintain good grades?
Well, you have to be a good student, right?
That's right.
Overall good student. On and off the mat. I feel like as an adult, if I was to give sponsorship to somebody, no matter what that sponsorship stands for, whether it's financial help or any kind of other help that, you know,
advertising, marketing.
It's helpful definitely if the person remains to be the same person throughout the time of your
agreement.
Yes,
for
you
sure.
know, because you might pose as an amazing human being and, you know, promise the world to these people, and then, you know, in a few months you had really grows to be to the size of a coconut, and but I put in some hard work. I'm not going to be afraid to say it throughout my jiu-jitsu competitive life and just overall training. And I was trying to get together with a company. And then it so happened that another company, which was Illest, came around. They founded their BJJ program in March 2016.
Yeah, that was.
And Jay and Mark.
And Silent Mark.
So Jay and Mark, big thanks to them for basically bringing me on the team.
Nice.
I'll tell you a little bit about the company. It was founded in '99, and I know it was basically they were into collecting anything from. It was a feel-good brand.
Okay.
Which was based on their passion and interest.
Yeah. No, you could see that they make really unique, cool designs, and you could feel like it's not cliche. It's not really like
it's a transit life for them. You know, anything that moves you from cars to shoes, music, skate. So they basically, created this, like I said, feel-good brand that they dare to support the athletes, expose the athletes.
Nice.
And, so I have an amazing relationship with them. And I'm very thankful for that. And I always tell them that it's very important it's a huge plus to have a good relationship with the company that you represent.
Sure.
And that, kind of exposing you and representing you. I mean, it's good to have a sponsorship of any sort, but it's a huge plus when you have a good understanding of what needs to be done and you're friendly.
Sure. And your other sponsor, Moskova.
My other sponsor is Moskova. Moskova is basically a lifestyle athletic performance brand, which, so it started by professional surfer athletes. I know a lot of guys who are in surfing industry, sponsored by them.
Okay.
So
Max Holloway, UFC.
Max Holloway, yeah.
Featherweight champion.
That's right.
He was wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see him.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I have an amazing relationship with Tony Amiglia, who is basically the guy behind Moskova.
So hold up. You and Max Holloway on the same team, technically.
That's what it sounds like to me.
That sounds like Mike made it.
Mike, you're a star.
You made it, man.
You're big time now.
Oh, I'm very thankful for Moskova and Illust to basically stand behind me as I stand behind them fully. And it's great brands. Check them out, guys. Illust.com, Moskova.com.
Boom.
And
Any coupon codes?
Coupon codes? All right, hit me up. I'll see what I can do.
Boom.
Moskova's got amazing underwear. I'm wearing one right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've never tried them, but I'm interested.
Yeah. I have a fresh pair in my bag.
We would
It
like
probably
to
wouldn't
see.
fit me.
We would like to. No, never mind.
They're very comfortable, guys. I mean, listen, it's a big deal. We spend a lot of time wearing underwear.
I spend most of my time wearing underwear, technically. Yeah, I never thought about it like
I know
that.
people who don't. They go all commando. But, they have obviously compression shorts for training.
So they sell more than just men's lingerie.
Absolutely. No. Both companies have a full line of clothing.
Nice, man.
Including Jiu-Jitsu lifestyle. Apparel.
Rash guards. I know Illust sells gis.
Yeah, they both have, everything pretty much.
Dope. Check them out, guys. Moskova, I assume.com.
Yeah.
And Illust.com or Illust.
Illust.com.
Damn.
Boom.
You know they started early when it's just Illust.com, right? Like they got their freaking username years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all about doing the right thing for your customers, and just because you're not putting a whole line of apparel out there at once within the first 2 months doesn't mean that you're not doing the right thing. Some people grow slowly, but every time they come out with something new, it's extremely awaited for, and it's just well noticed, and people want that
for sure. No, I'm a fan of both, particularly Illust, because I've seen more of their gear, and I really like their style. It kind of is congruent with the I don't know, the things that I like, the environment that I grew up in, the designs that I am more interested in. So props to them, putting out some good gear. Mike.
Yes.
Run out of time.
All right.
That's it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for
having me. It was a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Marcus.
You're a grown-ass man. You drop some grown-ass people, subjects, wisdom, knowledge. It's beautiful. Thank you.
All right. I thought you were going to say I dropped them on their ass in the competition.
Yeah.
You do that as well.
The NOgi master. The drop NOgi master.
Yes.
But Mike, no, seriously, thank you so much. You're a pleasure to have. You're a great friend. And you're inspiring, man. You compete all the time. You always have nice things to say about people, whether it's on social media or in person. And, a lot of people can and should be looking up to you. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome.
Ooh,
Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.